So I have two devices in here in front of me, and I'm going to give you an example as to how iWorld got a sale, but they didn't sell me. And this is extremely important, especially when it comes to sales, because organizations are investing in sales, sales training, sales strategies, etc. But they are not doing a fundamental thing as it relates to helping customers buy from them. So what we have here is that this is one of my older devices. This is one of my newer devices. This is the M3 2023 M3 MacBook Air. This is an old 2012 Intel-based 13-inch MacBook Pro. So I moved from a Pro down to an Air. The reason why, now I've had this with me for a little while, and this has worked extremely well. And the trigger as to why I decided to make the change is because the screen stopped working. Now, mind you, I knew that this was coming up to its time. The software was no longer being updated by Apple. Plus, sometimes the heat. And, I just started to feel as though it was time for a change. But because it was working, I held on to the device because it was still helping me do my job. And that's the most important thing as it relates to making the change. But when the screen started to fail, the screen started to give me some problems, I said, you know what, instead of trying to fix it, because I did also consider what's the cost to fix. And I say, if it's going to cost this much to bring in a screen to repair, maybe let me do the research on what this new device is. So that was my need, buyer journey number one thing, right? So from there, I started to do some research. And I started to do research as it relates to, okay, I'm going into a new device. Should I get another second-hand device? So I started to research places like Facebook Marketplace. I started to look at what the prices are. And while going through that, I also started to consider, because I already knew what I was already doing, right? And my work wasn't changing as much. This was handling a couple stuff. I actually started to do a little bit more video editing as well. So this does it, even though sometimes it heats up. So I was like, okay, whatever I'm doing now, in terms of my workflow, this should be able to manage it, right? From there too, I was then considering, should I go back MacBook Pro? Should I go back MacBook Air? So again, in terms of understanding my job, I started to really now pay attention. So where did I get my information? Unfortunately, I didn't get any of my information from any local providers. So I had to do a lot of research. I looked at tons of YouTube videos. I was reading a lot of stuff online. I was looking at certain things as it relates to Apple. So I just kind of educated myself, and I ended up choosing the 15-inch 2023 MacBook Air. I wouldn't go into why an Air. It does a lot of the work. So everything that this was doing, this handles it a lot better. Now, here's the thing. I bought this from iWorld. Understand my journey. I knew that there was a need. I held on. Then when I recognized that this was actually going to fail and I needed something for work, I made the purchase. So my need became a little bit more critical. So I moved from there. While knowing that there was a need, I actually did some research. I want to just add a point as it relates to my research. Apart from searching online, I was actually talking to friends. A couple of friends of mine, they also bought MacBooks. Some other friends, they actually have new PCs. So I was also considering, should I go to a PC? Might be a little bit more expensive, still handles the work. Or should I go stay with Apple? So people were actually sending me information. Guess what? The information that they were sending to me was also foreign-based information, because no company here, no provider is teaching customers anything as it relates to how to buy based upon my job, based upon my workflow. No one is doing that. This is all about buy from me. We're just resellers in Trinidad and Tobago, right? Anyway, so when it's time for me to make the decision, I decided to go to iWorld. Not because I know iWorld was a reseller. It's just that they were closest to me. And I went into iWorld twice. So this is now me moving from research. I understood what the prices were. So I wanted to research, but then I also wanted to understand what the prices were at iWorld. So when I went in, I did go to the website. When I went in now, I looked at the price. I got a feel for the device, right? So I actually got my hands on it. I looked at the color options and everything else, and I left. I visited iWorld 3 times. And of course, on my third visit, because again, every time that I went, because I was still, my visits number 1 and 2, I was still considering as to whether I want this or not, right? Do I need it? No. I'm still sort of doing work with this. It's still holding out for me. Should I buy another secondhand one similar to this and wait for something better? That is the process I went through as a buyer. Anyway, my third visit, I decided to make the purchase on this. Now I want to talk about my two visits. My two visits at iWorld were not engaging from any perspective where none of the sales reps found out as to what do I do? Why am I buying a Mac? Do I have a Mac already? Everything was, are you getting through? What is it they get? Do you need to get any assistance? And I just told them, I'm just looking. There was no engagement. They didn't even say, are you familiar with what these new M3 MacBook Pros could do? Let me just show you a couple of things. I know you're looking, but let me just show you something as to what to look for. There was no engagement along those lines from a sales perspective. And we're talking retail here. All right. Anyway, and from there, on my third visit, I made the purchase. Now, there was one thing that I felt that was good that came up from iWorld, which was they did try to cross-sell me, but I already knew that I didn't want anything there. So they were trying to cross-sell me with other stuff, with dongles, with stands, and yada, 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 yada. But I didn't need any of those things. As a matter of fact, no, they did cross-sell me into one thing, which was I bought the mouse. That's about it, right? Because the other mouse that I have, I still use that other mouse with this because I still connect this. So I repurpose this. I still connect this to an external screen. I haven't fixed this as yet. So I have another screen that works to the back there that backs up. Now, what is my point with this? Here's my point, similar to how I started off. I bought this from iWorld. iWorld got the sale. iWorld did not sell me. And as a sales consultant, I find that disturbing because of the fact that your reps never knew why I was purchasing something. iWorld does not know why I made this purchase. So they are in no way familiar with who I am as a buyer of their product. All they did was facilitate a transaction. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the biggest problem that we have here in Trinidad and Tobago and by extension the Caribbean as it relates to mature industries and how they take buyers for granted, marketing teams, sales teams. All they do is promote, and they have not adjusted how they sell to match how a buyer buys. That is a problem as it relates to sales. That's why I talk about stuff like that. That's why I did the other video that talks about all the bottles of water look the same, and I was aligning it to other industries. Because here we have an instance where they could have had the ability to upsell me if they had a good salesperson. That was never the case. I made that decision for myself, and I always say to salespeople when I'm talking to them about sales, if you leave it up to the customer to make the decision, more than likely, the customer is going to make that decision without you. Because I was considering the reason why I didn't go to Amazon because I needed something now. So this money that they would have received could have gone to Amazon, and I could have just rallied out. So that's the only reason that they got that sale. Not because anybody helped me, just because they just facilitated a transaction. And that is bad when it comes to sales. So my question to you as a buyer, when was the last time someone sold you something? When was the last time, or if you understand what your journey was, when was the last time that you gave a sale to someone? Because all we have here are resellers. When is the last time you gave a sale to someone and not really understood the fact that you actually went through a journey? You made the decision to the buyer, to the seller, and the seller just sort of inherited your money, inherited your sale for you. Let me know if you agree in the comments. And if you're a seller, if you're watching this as a company and you really want to take a different approach to sales, then holler at me. Let's talk a little bit as to how do you change your approach to sales to match the way your buyer buys. That was just me talking a little bit about my buyer's journey. Every single customer in Trinidad and Tobago in the world has a journey. And if we match our sales approach to the customer's journey, you tend to find that you pull customers in. You may even have the ability of creating more demand than anything else. All right. Leave your comments at the bottom. Let me know if you agree. Let me know if you don't agree. There may be an article that talks a little bit about the buyer's journey down at the bottom. Check that out in the links. Other than that, take care. Have a good one. Peace.